Hello from Ireland. I am sitting in my hotel room near the Dublin airport. The first tour that I am hosting wrapped up yesterday. Most of my guests have headed back to the US, and I am taking today to catch up on a few things, do a little bit of work, and come to you live with another podcast episode. Before I jump into this week's episode, which is actually going to be a little bit of itinerary inspiration based on the tour I just finished, I want to remind you that the My Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal is on a special Live from Ireland sale. The journal is the exact steps that I use to plan my own Ireland travels and tours. It has 4 sections for planning, itinerary, travel tips, and a journal, and it leads you step by step through the creation of the Ireland trip that you have been dreaming of. You're going to find easy to use worksheets, loads of advice, fun journaling prompts in the journal section, and it's really set up to help you plan and remember your magical Ireland vacation. You can learn more about the My Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal at irelandfamilyvacations.com/Ireland Planner. And for a limited time, you can save 25% with code PODCAST25. Now, these planners will ship when I return to the US, but as a we thank you for, your patience of the shipping, I will send you a little gift that I picked up just for you while I am in Ireland. So again, that is irelandfamilyvacations.com/Ireland Planner, code PODCAST25 through October 25th to save 25%. So I don't remember if I mentioned this first tour that I did wasn't a public tour. This was actually a group of friends, and it was meant as kind of a friends get together, definitely more vacation, less covering of a lot of ground. So we did shorter driving days and basically went from Dublin across the country to Clifton in Connemara and then back to Dublin. So I don't think we had a driving day that was more than maybe 2.5 to 3 hours. And then we broke it up with stops. And we did some things that were brand new to me. We did some of my favorite things. And then we added a little twist on some places that I had been in the past to give them more of a unique experience. Now, I'm going to share, there will be an itinerary download eventually for this. So if you want to kind of follow along or use some of these tips, you'll be able to grab those off of my website. So the first day, some of us met in Dublin before the tour began, and we did the Irish dance party that afternoon. Most of the group was tired because they had just come in that day, but it was a really good way to kind of stay awake in the afternoon. So the Irish dance party is a music and dance experience in Dublin. Ours took place at the Merchant's Arch, which is a bar, pub, and restaurant in the Temple Bar area. And this is really actually, if you're going to do any Irish dance music experience with kids, I really like this one because you can do it in the afternoon. So ours took place at 3 o'clock, and it was music, and then there were dancers, and then they taught you some steps. So it was fun, it was interactive, it was a good laugh, and it didn't take place too late in the evening. Now, the one thing I want to mention with that is that I was told by the bartender that it's great for families, but just maybe don't do it on the weekends because they do get a lot of hen parties or bachelorette parties in for that, and that can make it a little less family friendly. But if you're looking for an Irish dance and music event that is kid friendly in Dublin, I highly recommend the Irish Dance Party. The tour actually began the next day, and we started it with a walking food tour in Dublin with the Irish Food Trail. Grania, I've done tours with before, and she is just such an exceptional guide. It was so much fun. You'd go to 3 different locations, and you have what was it? An appetizer, a main, and a dessert, and each of them comes paired with a drink. So the Irish Food Trail is 3 hours. It's more food than you think it will be, and just it's so informative about Dublin history, Irish history, food, whiskey. Grania and her team do an exceptional job. So if you're looking for a food tour in Dublin, I highly recommend that one. And you'll find that at flavortrails.ie, flavor spelled with a U. And then in the evening, we did something that's probably not on anybody's radar. We went to the town of Abbeyleix in County Laois. This is a small heritage town, but it has just one of the most beautiful traditional Irish pubs that you're ever going to see. You can very much see that it used to be a grocery store and a bar. The people in Abbeyleix are just so nice, and it was a really fun first night experience. We stayed in a place called Preston House, which is a Georgian manor house. Had the whole place to ourselves, and just a beautiful place to stay. I actually wish we would have had more than one night there. It was just absolutely lovely. From there, we headed west, and we went to the Rock of Dunamace, which is a beautiful ruin in nearby Portlaoise. Just an absolutely great castle sitting on a huge rock. You can see for miles and miles and miles. And then from there, we went to Loch Gur, Gur, one of my favorite spots in all of Ireland. I probably talk about it a lot. And that is in County Limerick. And then we were up to Doolin for the evening. We stayed at the Doolin Inn, which is my favorite place to stay in the entire town. And we had dinner actually at Anthony's at the Doolin Inn. Unfortunately, Anthony's at the Doolin Inn has closed as of this past weekend, but Doolin does have a lot of other really great restaurants, and the Doolin Inn will remain. So don't fret about that at all. We spent the next day kind of tasting our way through the Burren. So we had 2 official stops on that. We went to the Burren Smokehouse in Lisdoon, Varna, and we did a wee tour there. We tasted 3 different kinds of smoked salmon and learned about the whole kind of salmon smoking experience, as well as salmon farming and wild caught salmon, and kind of the differences in the two. Cleared up some misconceptions that my husband had. So it was a really interesting stop. And from there we went to Alwee Caves. Now, I talked about Alwee Caves the last time I was in Ireland because we went to the Alwee Caves and we did the birds of prey demonstration, and then we did a hawk walk. Well, this time we actually just went to the Alwee Caves for the cheese. They have a beautiful farm store there, and they make just some gorgeous cheeses and fudge. So we went and we learned about the cheese, and then we nibbled on cheese and fudge, and just had a lovely time. From there, we made our way through more points of the Burren, including the Pulnabrone Dolmen. We went to the Burren Perfumery, which also has a tea room, so really good cakes. So got some beautiful natural products there. And then we were back to the Cliffs of Moher that evening. Beautiful night for the Cliffs of Moher. Beautiful sunsets, clear skies. Absolutely gorgeous evening. And then back to Doolin, where we kind of split up. My husband and I ate at the Ivy Cottage. It's right across from the Doolin Inn. Gorgeous little meals there. We had some people that ate at Fitz's Pub, said they had a really nice meal. And then others went to McDermott's, which is a pub. I heard the burger was very good, but the sticky toffee pudding was exceptional. So there's a few other places for you to check out if you happen to go to Doolin. Leaving Doolin the next day, we actually made our way up to Clifton in Connemara. And before we left the Burren, we stopped at Hazel Mountain Chocolates. Now, this is a bean to bar chocolate factory. So they get the beans in, they roast them, and they do all the things. So they have chocolate bars, they have truffles, they have hot chocolate. They have a chocolate tea that's decaffeinated that is really, really nice. I like it in the evening a lot. So we did make a stop there, nibbled some chocolate, watched through the window as they were making it, and that was a lot of fun before we headed out toward Clifton. When we got to Clifton, we did the Connemara seaweed baths. So I am a mad fan of a seaweed bath. There's just something about the warm water, the moisturizing seaweed, one of my very favorite things. And this was a different experience than I'd had before because all they do here is seaweed baths. They do have a hydrotherapy type thing, and I know I'm saying that wrong, but you can do a full experience that has a sauna and a steam room and a whirlpool and a cold plunge. And some of the group did that. We did just the seaweed bath. So it started with about 5 minutes in the sauna and then into the warm seaweed bath for about 45 minutes. And we had the option of finishing with the cold plunge. In hindsight, I should have finished with the cold plunge because this was the first seaweed bath that I'd done that was fully indoors. Usually the seaweed baths I do are outside, so you have the difference of the warm water and the colder air. And this was all inside, so I really felt like I detoxed a lot. It was very almost tiring because I was sweating so much. But I gotta tell you, my skin feels so good after a seaweed bath. So it was obviously, a great experience, always something I enjoy. And then that evening we had dinner at E.J. King's in Clifton. Beautiful pub, really a terrific meal. They make an amazing beef and Guinness stew. They had a seafood chowder that everybody who had that said was just exceptional. And what else did they have? The burger. Their burger was huge. So really a great meal at E.J. King's in Clifton. Following that day, we went out and did some of the highlights of Connemara. So we started out on the Sky Road. We stopped and we walked out to the ruins of Clifton Castle, which is really, it's just such a nice little castle. You kind of see it as you go down the Sky Road, but if you aren't paying attention, you'll pass by where you need to park for it. Then we drove out the Sky Road, said hi to some horses out there, and then went on to Kylemore Abbey. Now, the difference of what we did at Kylemore Abbey versus what usually happens at Kylemore Abbey is that I gave the group the entire afternoon. What you usually find at Kylemore Abbey, if you're on a tour or if you're kind of going point to point or passing through, is that you'll give yourself, or the tour will give you, maybe 2.5 hours at Kylemore Abbey. And we easily spent 4 hours there. Something that most people don't realize at Kylemore Abbey is that throughout the day they have different history lessons, educational sessions, however you want to call them. So they'll feed the Connemara ponies, say at 1 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, there might be kind of the history of Kylemore Abbey, like a talk taking place in the Abbey. And then maybe at 3:30, there's one that happens in the cathedral. So there's always these, like there's garden tours and just all these things happening. And if you're only there for a short period of time, you're not going to have the time to take any of those in because you're going to be running from one end to the other. So I highly recommend that if Kylemore Abbey is on your itinerary, give it a minimum of 3 hours, but if you can, just give it your whole entire afternoon or your entire morning. Give it a solid amount of time because it's a beautiful place. It's a fascinating place full of history, and there's quite a lot to do there that I think most people just kind of scratch the surface and then head on. And let's see, we were back to Clifton that evening. Most of us actually had a late lunch, early dinner at Kylemore Abbey because they do have a really nice food hall there. But some did eat in Clifton. I heard that Ravi's is quite good. What was it? Gus's Pub, just down from E.J. King's, also very good. The Station House, right across from, oh no, we stayed at the Station House Hotel. Trying to remember. Station House Hotel, so it was the station something right across the road. Apparently very, very good as well. So plenty of choices for food in Clifton. Leaving Clifton, we did our castle stay. So we made our way across, so we're heading back across Dublin, or back across Ireland to Dublin. So we had left Dublin, and if you think about it this way, so there's almost an invisible line between Dublin and Galway City, and then Connemara, obviously the furthest west from that. So following that line, we kind of went to the south of that line on the way over to Clifton. So coming back, we went to the north of that invisible line. So we made one stop at Clonmacnoise, which is a beautiful monastic city, if you will. It was on the crossroads of Ireland back in the 6th century. So it sits on the River Shannon, so that's the north-south crossroads. And then there was kind of a ridge that crossed the country situated above the bogs. So it hit that ridge too. So it was a really important site for trading, for marketing, and for education. Anyway, beautiful site. 3 high crosses, 2 round towers. So if you're looking for a great monastic site, that is one to consider. And then we went on from there to Kennedy Castle. The rain had finally moved in. Our beautiful days kind of left us. So there is really no place better to kind of while away after a rainy afternoon than in a castle. We sat in the library bar, had some tea and some scones, and just talked and enjoyed that. We had a few brave souls that went out and wandered through the fairy forest a little bit. And then we had dinner in the dungeon bar, and that is just a treat. It's really a beautiful area in the lower levels of the castle. It's beautifully done, beautiful woodwork, very, very good food. And it was just kind of a joy to do that evening. The next morning, we took it easy. We relaxed and didn't rush away from the castle. And as we were making our way back to Dublin, we visited Trim Castle, which is the largest Norman castle in Ireland. And then we went to the Hill of Tara, where the ancient kings of Ireland were crowned. So all in all, it was a 6-day, 7-night, 7-day, 6-night trip, and a really nice journey through the heart of Ireland. We took it very slow. We didn't do a lot. Again, this trip was very much about taking in some of the sites, but not overwhelming the group. So that is just a little bit of inspiration for you if you're starting to plan your trip. Um, that might give you a few ideas of places to visit or things you might want to add to your itinerary. If you visit the show notes, there will be a link and you can get that itinerary and play with it and make it your own. So, thanks so much for listening to this live from Ireland episode. I am so glad you joined me, and I hope you got some inspiration and enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Until next time, slán go fóill.